Hey guys, it's Sharon. A lot of you have been asking about how to recoil your planners. I've done this quite a few times now, and I just thought I'd let you know how I've done it, and maybe that'll give you some help and some confidence to do it yourself. The first thing I use is a pair of these tiny little jewellery type pliers. You can use any sort of pliers, but the one thing I have found is that if you've got any sort of coil other than a platinum coil, you need to try and protect it a bit, and so I've put washi tape around the ends of mine like this. So I've got a couple of coils from that I've used before, and if you don't protect them, this is what happens. I don't know if you can see there, but all the coating comes off the gold ones. This was a really pretty one that I had, and I may just put this back on because I know that I'm going to be recoiling again in 3 or 4 months. But the reason that I normally stick with the platinum ones is because, well, these just don't hold up to recoiling, and knowing that I'm going to recoil, it doesn't seem worth the extra $10 just to get a different coil that's going to be a bit rubbish when I've taken the ends off. So that's just something to consider if you're going to recoil these things. This is my favourite coil. I know that sounds weird, but one of the things that you have to try and do when you take the coils in and out is to make the coils into a proper circle, so that it comes out of the pages smoothly. Some of them do that very, very easily, and some of them don't. I've just taken one off new half of my Daily Duo, and this was what I had at one end, and there is no way that that is going to go through your nice neat pages. It's just going to rip them to shreds, so I actually had to start again at the other end to uncoil them. Anyway, let's digress about the coils. First thing I've done, if you're going to recoil, is to take the covers off the front. Here's my nice new cover for this year, so I've taken that off the front and put that to one side, and now I'm going to try and take the coil out of this one. So you see both ends. I like to start at the top end of mine. I just find it's easier, and the way that they hand coil them, I suspect this is the way that they put them in and take them out, because this is at a different angle at the other end. So I tend to like to start at this end. Now the idea is to pull this bit out and to make it into the nearest possible shape to a coil as you can. As I say, some of them it's very easy, some of them isn't, and depending on... Right, this one's going to be a real pain. I can see that now. So if you can see, we've got a bump in here that is not going to go through your pages. So it's just, it takes a bit of fiddling around with. So I find that my experience has told me to try and get it straight first and then bend it back round. But as I say, I don't know that this one's going to... Oh, it's not too bad. Okay. Making a real hash of this one. So what you can do when you've tried to bend it round is you can try it out. You need to pull the other end out and away so that your planner can uncoil easily, and then it's literally a case of twisting it round. You can use a bulldog clip if you like, depending on how big your planner is whether it's useful or not, and then it's literally a question of twisting it round and out. That's not too bad. It's not as good as it could be, but it's literally then just a question of twisting it so that it comes out. If you think your coil's not particularly round and it's going to tear your pages, then just do it very gently. That is actually catching as I go round. So let's see what we get. And it's just a question of feeding it through each time. You have to be a bit careful of the lovely vellum on the front. So I will now just uncoil this out and carry on in a second. Okay, so I got that coil out, as you can see, because it was at a very funny angle at the end. It was quite difficult to get out and I needed two hands to it. They sometimes do that, and I've found that the smaller coils are worse than the bigger coils for that, so it's just a question of a bit of patience. I have a bit of brute force with it since I've done this before, so I'm not afraid of attacking it. But basically, clips on the floor now. This is what you get. You've got your planners nicely uncoiled. So it's a question then of deciding what pages that you want to go back into the coil that you've got. Now I've actually uncoiled the other planner that I'm going to put in together, and I'm going to coil in my vertical planner and my daily duo. But I'm not going to do it like some of the others that I've seen. Some of the other people that I've seen are doing a week of or a month of the weekly pages, and then they're doing a month of the daily pages. But I've decided I really don't want to do that, because it will annoy me that I'm going to have, for instance, the day of July and the beginning of August for one, and then it doesn't match up, so not going to do that one. So what I've decided to do is I have taken the I'm taking the nice pocket from the front of the new layers one, and I'm going to take out the old vellum. I'm going to put in the new vellum from layers, so that looks pretty in there. This is my mood board for this year. I have a word of the year every year, and faith is mine this year, so I made a little mood board in Canva. Fantastic app if you want to do little things like this, and I've stuck it into the front of my planner, so I'm going to keep that in there. And then I am going to take out, no, I'm going to leave that, that's the tab for the May from my current vertical layout. So I'm going to leave my vertical layout there, but I am going to put in the 2020 tab that I've got. So this is from the new layers daily duo, and this has May to December on the front, and it has January 21 to December 21 on the back, so that's going to go in next. So after that I'm going to have my May pages from my vertical. So I have May monthly, which, as you can see, and I'm sure everybody's the same, has got most of the stuff cancelled in, but it's current, so I want that in there. And then I'm going to go on and have my May pages in the vertical, and I'm going to then have my June pages, same thing. I know that says March, but it is actually June. I need to put a sticker over the top of that. So I'm going to have my June pages. I'm going to have my same pages for July, and I think I'm going to go with August as well. So all I'm going to put into there is May to August. So 4 months worth of vertical pages and their monthlies. And then I'm going to put in May to August from the daily duo. So if I just take those out of the planner I've just uncoiled, so it will start with July, so I've gone from August on one to July on the other. I will probably also have some spare covers, so I'm probably going to put a spare cover in between those two, just to make it easier to work out, flip backwards and forwards as to where is where. So I've gone from August in my verticals. I'm now going to go to the nice new layers in July, which has the first on there. So I've also got always be careful when you're doing this that you've actually put things in the right place, because now what I have done, right, let's be sensible here. This is what happens when you're faffing around. So let's try and go in the same order of months as there are actually in the year. So May first, so May, and then May pages, June pages, and then after the end of June I'm going to put in July and August. Take that out. Right, so just so that I don't confuse myself, I think I've got everything I want here. One of the biggest tips I would have is, once you've managed to get past the uncoiling stage, is make really sure that you have the pages in the right order for when you want to recoil, because if you haven't and you recoil it and then you find they're in the right order, you've got to start again. And believe me, I have done that and it is incredibly frustrating. It's normally on a coil that doesn't work very well either. So back to where we've got layers page, vellum page, word of the year, calendar for 2020, calendar for 2021. May vertical, June vertical pages, July vertical pages, and August vertical pages. And then I will put a cover in here, and then we go to May dailies. So May dailies, June monthly, June dashboard, June dailies, and the same with July and with August. Now at the end of August, what I've decided to do is to add in the notes tab from one of my previous planners and a set of notes pages. I tend to keep all the notes pages out of the back, and I actually at one stage bought an extra dot grid notebook because knowing that I was going to recoil, it just makes sense for me to put extra notes pages in where I'm going to want to have them if I'm going to recoil like this. And then at the end of that, this year, I have actually kept, because I'm going to use them on the daily pages, I've actually kept a set of stickers in the back of here, so that I've got plenty to use, and I will be recoiling again in 4 months' time, so I can add new ones in if I use all of those up. So the next thing that we have to make sure is that all the pages are nicely lined up so that we can try and get the elusive coil back on. Now this is where you need to make sure that that back spine is really lined up, so you can see, if you can see through all of the holes from front to back, you're onto a winner. So the bulldog clip, if it will go on, depending on how many pages you've got, depends whether you've got a bulldog clip that will go back on or not. But to be honest with you, I don't always worry about it, because it can sometimes be easier if you've got a difficult coil to get it back on without the bulldog clip. But we'll start it off that way and see what happens. The other thing is trying to get a bulldog clip that is big enough is quite tricky. I think I'm faffing around with this one now. It's on the wrong side. Let's see if that will go on. Nope, it's not going on. Right, okay. So we're going to have to do this without a coil clip. So this is the one I've taken off. Now the other thing is to make sure that when you start recoiling is that you get the right size coil. So I am going to use, am I going to go with gold, or am I going to go, how much is that going to annoy me? What do we think? It's very pretty, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm going to go with the gold one. I'm going to recoil it at some point anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right, and then the idea is that you find the first hole and you slot it back through. Obviously you've got a smaller planner, so sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get it back through. So just get this one started. No, it doesn't want to. It really is a study in patience doing this, so don't worry if you think it's taking you a while. As you can see, I have done this a good number of times, and I still have occasions where getting things started up is a bit of a nightmare. So I might have to just feed them in a few at a time. Obviously if your planner is small enough that you can get a coil, you can get a bulldog clip onto it, it's going to make it a lot easier, but that's not going to happen here, so I'm just going to have to wing it while I get those back pages on. Right, okay, so I've got the first one on, and then again, if we can line them up, it goes fairly smoothly, but we'll just see. Right, I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to get this started, and then I will be back. Okay, so I've managed to get this one going. What I've done is I didn't have a big enough bulldog clip, so I've tried to bulldog clip in 2 halves. It really is sometimes a bit of playing around with these things, and I know we all say it's easy to do, and it is relatively straightforward, but as I say, it just needs sometimes a little bit of tweaking to get this thing going. Once you get it going and half of it is held, it becomes an awful lot easier. This one's not too bad. You can hear the squeaking as it goes through the pages. Just every so often check that these back pages are going through. You may find that you get the odd one that gets split, odd page that gets split on the back. To be honest, it really doesn't matter. It will stay, and once you put a cover on it, it will stay anyway. So I'll just give it a bit of, it's going to get stuck again now, but really does need just feeding through. So it's gone through the wrong hole there. Just feeding through like this. To say, if your coil has been nice and straight, like the one I took off was, which in some ways I'm regretting not putting on, this one, it will recoil really easier. It will just spin round quite easily through the holes. This one I am feeding through a bit. It's a bit more difficult because of the fact that it's not quite straight at the top, and it's catching where the rose gold has come off. As I say, if you haven't ordered a planner yet and you're going to, and you think you might recoil it, or you're ordering an extra one to recoil, go with the platinum ones. And the other thing is, if you're ordering a planner, an hourly or a vertical or horizontal, I'd highly recommend spending the extra $5 to get the 18-month coil, because it is a lot easier to do this, and you have a lot more flexibility over what you want to put on in the end. You see, I've taken the bulldog clips off that, and in some ways it's going through a bit more easily now. And then it's just a question of feeding it through to the end, and see, once you get it going, it's a lot easier, and it does make your hands hurt, but it's worth it. Incidentally, if you're watching this and you're from the UK or from Europe and you're not part of the UK and Europe group for EC lovers, then I will leave a link down below. Come and join us. Got some lovely ladies, and a lot of the topics that they're discussing are really relevant to us buying EC from the UK. So the questions of VAT and customs and ordering and times. We have lots of things going on, plus there's lots of lovely UK sticker shops selling with us. There's lots of PR girls with codes, and really it is a lovely place to be. So again, I'll leave the link down below for that. Right, getting near to the end now. Check that one's caught on the back, but that's fine. It's only the sticker sheet, so I would have taken those out anyway normally. Right, the last one can be a little bit tricky, and it is where you just need to be careful that you catch all the pages. Right, there we go. Right, so there is your coil back on. You need to then just bend the top around, and if you're not sure how it bends around, just let me find a planner that has one in. Yes, I do have one. Right, here's a spare planner. So I have a spare planner, so if you're not sure how it goes, take a look at a plan that you've got. And what they try and do is to bend them in as square as possible at the ends, so that it sits nicely. When you hear sometimes that people have got problems with their coil not laying flat, it's very often because the coil, the bit that they've pushed in, is at an angle, and then as you open the planner, it just sticks. So just be a little bit careful with that, and you might have to play around with it. But again, it's just a question of taking the pliers, those are the wrong pliers, and bending this down here. So it just bends down here, and again at the other end bends, oops, up at the top like that. So it should then, so if I've got mine right, you should be able to lay it flat, and you should also be able to bend it back. So before you put your covers and things back on, just check that that is the case. and then you have your planner recoiled. So there we go. So I now have, if I've got it right, I've got all the bits and pieces in the front, and it goes verticals in the front, and then when we flip through to May, we then move on to the dailies. I have taken, this is May's from next year, so obviously the days are wrong. Friday is the 1st of May, and then so you just need to redate, but I figured that that was a better option. And let's face it, girls, we all know that by the time we get into after Christmas, we're all looking at new planners or different planners, or we've changed our minds, or we're cobbling it together and recoiling things from stuff we've already got. So if you're one of those people that absolutely knows they stay in one planner all year round, I admire you, and just think about what you're redating. You're probably better then just to take a month off the end of a planner or the beginning of a planner. But if you're somebody like me who recoils all the time, and I have ends of various planners from different years, which I'm not worried about redating, then you can easily do that. So now I'm just going to pop my covers back on the front. Again, they should go on easily. You might have to play with them a bit. I haven't ever found the... So that should go on nice and easily all the way down. Actually, I'm really glad that I went with the gold coil now, because I do think with this orange and red, that looks rather pretty. Really pleased with that one. And then back cover, which I always have to think about the back cover, because obviously you've got coils. Your coil is slightly different, so it's that end one, isn't it? So that's the front and back, and I think, as I say, when I get to, that's the end, that's August for verticals, and this is May. I actually think I'm going to put a spare cover in there. Now I actually keep my covers, reach behind me. I keep my covers on a spare coil, so I have various covers that I can choose. I think what I might do is pick actually I think I'm going to pick one of these. This is actually one of the dividers. Erin Condren, I'm not sure if they still sell them like this, but you could buy a pack that you could use as dividers. So I'm actually going to put this one in the middle here, and then well love this one, fits in there. So now my planner has vertical at the front and daily after the middle, and that will go up till August. That goes up till the end of August, and then when it gets towards the middle of August, I will actually take another 4 months and recoil it in. But there we go. If you've got any questions, either come and find us in the Facebook group and come and ask, or message me down below and I'll see if I can answer them if I can. But that's how to recoil your planner. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, but give it a go. These coils are very robust. They will take a pet set of pliers. Okay, the colour comes off on the pretty coloured ones, but I think I've only ever, in all the time I've been doing this, and I've got quite a lot of planners, I've only ever broken one. So really good. So ask me any questions, and thanks a lot. Okay, bye.